Right, well, hello again. Not really got much planned today. The main job is going to have a tidy up in the workshop because just pan round, it's pretty disgusting. In there, it's not very pretty either. So I'm not going to film the tidying up because I'm sure you don't want to see that. What I am planning on possibly doing, because if you go back, I don't know, a few months, so about the Countax, which is bowed over the back there, breaking its shaft. Yeah, I did that video trying to repair it, broke it. Well, the chap who was trying to get me a new mower, I don't know, never really got in touch. Strange bloke really. Claims to do no business and then never phones people when he's got something he wants to sell. So just put that back on there. Right. So yeah, I'm going to try, now the actual shaft is off and the gearbox is off, is to try and really weld it up well. But before I do that, so I've got to have a good tidy up, get all the tools back where they should be. So right, do that, and then when I'm ready to do some welding, I'll pop the video back on, camera back on. Right, well I wasn't actually planning on filming this, wasn't actually planning on doing it. Flip the camera around. Last night, well for quite a while now, I noticed Big Z has been a bit funny with like sort of fuel problems. Last night I noticed that the hand primer was sort of leaking a little bit of fuel from around the top here. So if I just pop it off and have a look, and it seems quite a simple thing, and it literally just seems like it is, the camera will pick up, just an O-ring. So I thought, well, I'll have a go at just see if I can change it, see if it makes any difference. The actual the thing itself looks okay. Probably won't pick up. Unfortunately I haven't got my tripod, so I'll try and balance the camera somewhere best I can. What are we looking at? Yes. That's it. Right. Yes. So it looks like it is just a standard round O-ring. That's all it looks to be. Let's have a look what we got. Got one of these kits. As normal, doesn't seem to have a size that I need. It's not far out. No, nowhere near big enough. Or too big. Sneeze. Achoo! Thank you. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, I've got some fuel filled bits, but none of them seem to be the right size here. No. No, that seems to be the normal. I haven't got an O-ring that fits it. I suppose take some measurements. Yeah, roughly just under 15 mil, and the bore just over 19. Yeah. I'll have to make a note of that somewhere, find a pencil. Hang on, I've got it on record, haven't I? It needs to be about 14 by about 19. 14 mil internal, 19 external. Right, I'll pop it back together for now, put it back on the tractor. It doesn't seem to leak. Right, should we go and pop it back on the tractor then? Well, it does leak on suction. It doesn't. Okay. There's pressure there. Like that. Right, just going to drop it back on. Right, so I've just put it back on. So it lives. Does seem okay. I did give it a little bleed as well. So to bleed, Zetor, what you've got, see, that's your hand pump, it's your priming bowl here, and your fuel filters. If you work it up, you then got your injector pump, and on top of the injector pump you can see, if you follow the fuel line, it goes into here, and the fuel line comes out the filters, up into the top of the pump. Just as it goes in, just there, there's your bleed screw. So you just crack that open, pump some fuel through till there's no air coming through, and then nip it back down again. Another way that a lot of people like doing is opening the injector pipes up, bleed it through that way. Right, let's see how it is the next time we start it. Okay, right, so had a bit of a tidy up, not a lot, but you can actually use the workbench now. There's that one, I just want to clean that one up. So a bit of a tidy up in there. So what the job is now is to try and get this shaft welded back together. So I've welded it twice already, and it lasts a few weeks and then breaks again. I was out of shot then, wasn't I? So I think what I'm going to do is clean it up, take all the old weld off, really clean it up well, groove it heavily, and then really weld the frig out of it and try and get it as much weld as possible. Problem is, you have got to get it, or I've got to get it ground down again then, so the wheel fits over the top, and obviously if it only gets in the case, and the bearings will have to fit over the top of it as well. So I can't leave the welds undressed. Right, so the first thing, stick it on the bench grinder, on the wire wheel on the bench grinder, and give it a bit of a clean up, see what we've got. I don't know if you can see where it's not only cracked here, hang on, where are we? There, it's also cracked along here. So yeah, the weld just didn't tape, and then if you look, I hadn't got much weld around here at all. So I think the next case, actually, if I can get it, it actually is quite loose, that is. It's also cracked. Camera focus, there we are. Another crack there, so didn't do a very good job of welding that. Well, I think this is quite hard metal. See, I actually overground it there. I'll have to see if I can fill that back up a little bit. Right, spin you around. Right, so I'm going to get a piece of angle line to get it straight, mark it up. Right, so I've got loads of area to fill now. I'll use the MIG welder last twice, but I'll try the arc welder this time. Okay. So, welder. Right, let me just get myself in shot, hang on. Right, so you probably know the difference between an arc and a MIG welder, but you might not. So, if you do know, you can skip on. And if you don't know, basically the arc welder, well, the difference is they both work in the same basic principle. You have a clamp goes to the metal, and it's not actually neutral and positive, it is actually just positive. And you have one part of the torch, clamp goes to the other part of the work, and you know when you switch a light switch on and off, you can hear, sometimes we can hear the click, sometimes if it's at night you can see the blue arc. Same thing, and the idea of it is if this is the metal, this is the torch, if you just touch them, the power flows through the metal, yeah, through. If you pull it back a little bit, you get that arcing, and that's what causes the heat. MIG welder, it stands for metal inert gas, and it has a wire that feeds into the weld pool, and to stop any oxidisation, etc., you have a gas, which is the inert gas, which covers the weld while it's being produced to stop it oxidising. With a MIG weld, an arc welder, it's slightly different. Same principle, but what you have your welding rods, and if the camera will pick up that end there, see you've actually got your filler wire here, and then you've got like a flux coating over here. And if you look at an end that's being used, that will zoom in. Let me stand out of the way, it should pick it up. Let's see if it will zoom in on. Let's zoom on my hand, but not on it. Move out of the way. No, it's not going to zoom in on it, is it? But what it does. But yeah, as it's arcing away, the filler's going in, and then this flux coating melts, I suppose, over the top of the weld to shield it, and then you get a slag that you chip off afterwards. I prefer the arc welder. I think it's a much more reliable machine for me as well. Though it is fiddly. MIGs are very good for delicate, thin work where you just want to be zip and zip. Where arcs, if you're doing thick work, you can just turn them fully up, get loads of heat into it. And like when the quick couplings on the big Zetor, I welded them on with the arc, tacked them with the MIG to get them straight, and then use the arc and put massive amount of heat, real loads of power, thick welding rods into it. Similar what I'm going to do with this. This is only a little, about 2.4 mil. I'm going to use 3.25 mil rods and really have it cranked up. Right. Pop the clamp on in the same way. It's important as well with arc welders is to keep your rods dry. I haven't got many rods left. Keep them in the tube they come in. What is odd with an arc though is different rods are welded differently. So you can be welding away with one rod, use it up, get another one out of the pack, and you just won't weld in the same sort of way, if you like. It's a little bit more practice with an arc welder. So some of the customer I know, he recommends, what he does is, before he uses it, while he's using one, he keeps the other one sort of tucked under his arm. Apparently it warms it up, reckons it works better. But yeah, right, so let's see what we can do. Probably not in shot now. No, let's pop it back into shot. There we go. So, crank the ampage right up. Can't go to the full power because it needs a 16 amp feed if it's going at full power. This one's also only running a standard 13 amp plug on it at the minute. Go, it's pretty high. Oh, just one thing though, you do have to be careful with an arc welder. With a MIG welder, you obviously touch the things so you can actually, when you're not welding, you know, to make the circuit, to make it work. And you can, when you're not using the torch, you can just lay down the piece on the metal bench, you'll be fine. With an arc welder, the torch is always live. So if you're welding away and then going to say that, he will. So yeah, you have to be a bit careful. You need to sort of hang it on the machine really. Right, so find the helmet and give it clean. The welding on there. Right, so this is a brand new rod. New rods are incredibly difficult to get going, so I tend to just scrape it along something first just to get a bit of a... Right, I'll just pop you off and just see what I'm doing. Right, so you notice what I was doing was sort of trying to tap it. It's almost like you're striking, sort of striking a match almost to get that arc form. You can see there's the weld over the top. And that doesn't look that bad, but that's the slag. So what you do is just, it's done right, you should just gently chicken hammer. Just knock it off. So the weld, that isn't actually a bad weld. It's nice and shining. But you find if you get a really good weld with an arc, as you just tap it, it'll just come cleanly off. You do have to be careful. I was once doing some welding and chipping the slag off. A bit of slag hit me right in the eye and actually stuck on my eye. And if you think that a few seconds, well, that's still hot now, but when that weld's being formed, you've got what, 3,000–4,000 degrees, and yeah, that piece of slag stuck to my eye and it hurt. But yeah, it luckily didn't do any harm, not long term anyway. It hurt for a few days. So you always want to make sure that you put your goggles on when you're chipping off, or drop the welding visor down while you're doing it. I've sort of developed now a habit of gloved hand over the top of the thing as you're chipping it off. So right, what I'm going to do now, pop you back on here, I'm going to check that that is straight, and then I'm just going to carry on welding. Not going to carry on with any commentary. Obviously I will edit this down quite a bit once it gets on there. Just checking it's straight, which it isn't. A bit of a kink there. Basically I've put heat on one side and not the other. That's better. So now I'm going to put a lot of weld. See, I've sort of V'd that out quite a bit. Really try and get a lot of weld into there this time. This is this bloody phone call from one of these PPI people. Yes. Damn it, I was gonna be in shit. Right, battery's getting a little bit low, so I'm going to stop recording for the time being and then just carry on welding. I'm almost like hard facing it almost, just putting a good layer over the top. Okay, right, so it's not very pretty, but what I've done Obviously I've welded, there's some heat coming off that, welded all the way around and then across. And what I'm going to do now is I'll put the grinding wheel in the grinder and I'm going to just gently start grinding it down, getting it flush. So getting there. I've taken it off with the grinder. What I'm doing now is using the file because you can actually feel much better. Because I just want to take the absolute bare minimum. And for checking I'm getting close, I actually found a 19mm spanner. Oops. Good fit on the shaft, so I'm just working it along, and so when it will go nicely around, I know I'm okay. It has got a little bump there to take off, but so hopefully that's a lot. Because all this here where I'm going over is weld, because so I just kept going round and round, and there's a lot of weld, and a lot of heat went into that as well. And that was glowing nice and red at times. Right, so I'll carry on filing. Right, well, hang on, there we go. So yeah, that phone call I got, I think the batteries are nearly flat. From somebody who is, ready? 0161 826 5780. It'll be quite funny because obviously they're one of these people who cold call. If you could actually somehow sort of, cold call them, but obviously then it costs you money. But yeah, but if you are 0161 826 5780, piss off. Quite a lot hoping he'll ring when I've actually got the camera here, and then I'll find out the name of the person and stick them on YouTube then. But yeah, pain in the arse, these people. And obviously this is a pay-as-you-go phone, so how on earth they've actually got my number, and they've been ringing the shop phone recently as well, and the house phone. The only place where that mobile number is actually tied up to me is on Google. That's the only time I've ever used it. So yeah, Google, you obviously sell people's details. Very naughty. But Google, I know Google is part of YouTube, or YouTube own, which way around is it? Is it Google own YouTube or YouTube own Google? But shits anyway, aren't they? But right, so shaft, got it back together as much as I can, grinded it all down, filed it. I don't know, it doesn't look any better or any worse than the last two times I've welded it. And the only way now is to put everything back together, put the gearbox back together, put the gearbox back on the tractor, lawnmower, and use it. I wish I could somehow sort of sleeve it. So what happens, obviously, that goes in, comes out the gearbox, so you got the edge of the gearbox casing out here somewhere, the spacer goes on, wheel goes onto here, and the brake is right, well, it's just as it goes into the wheel. I have toyed with the idea, but it's a bit of a bodge, of actually welding the wheel to the shaft so the wheel becomes part of the structure of it, but it's not the right way really, is it? The correct way is to put a new shaft, but you can't get them. Not in this country. America, where obviously that peerless transmission is a bit more common, but then your freight is so expensive, so I don't know. I'd like a new one, like a whole new gearbox, like a new lawnmower. It's a right second-hand mower, and the shaft would break second time I used, or first time I used it. So yeah, I suppose just keep welding it, trying it. There's a lot of weld gone on that. So hopefully this time. And so I did get it very hot as well. It was glowing pretty red hot. Right, so I don't think we're going to put the gearbox back together tonight. So yeah, that'll probably be about it. Just again, if you are right, if you are 0161 826 5780, stop ringing. Actually, we've got call barring on the shop phone, so I'm going to phone put your number in on that, so you won't be able to call us anymore. And yeah, or sometime in the future.